All right. Welcome back to another episode of the Nap Bros podcast. I'm your host, joined always by my lovely co-host Andrew. I'm Nick.
Are you the host or am I the host?
All right, we're both we're co-hosts. That's what it is. Yeah, that's what it turns into.
I feel like
We're
you
both
said that you were the
co-hosts.
host and I was co-host. No,
No, I
that's
mean,
fine. That's
okay,
fine.
so
I'll allow.
okay.
I'll allow.
I'm co-host number one. You're co-host number two. Do you want to be co-host number one? And I'll be
Well, I mean,
co-host
you
number
do,
two.
you do, you do all the editing, so I'll allow you being the host
Well,
this one
well,
time.
I introduce it as well, and then I do the outro. It's just
Because you're just more excitable, you know. Like,
gregarious. It's that's the word that you want. I'm
come again?
gregarious.
That's not the word I want to use.
Well, that's the correct word to use in this particular situation,
I
bro.
feel like there's 100 other words I could have used besides that one.
Do you know what that word means?
I do not know what that word means.
Okay,
That's
so
why I would never use that one. Please spell it for me so I can look it up.
I believe it is. Oh no! Don't make me spell it. Don't make me spell it out, man.
Exactly. If you can't
Okay.
spell it, you
No, no,
shouldn't
no.
be using it.
Okay. Gregarious.
Gregarious.
Ooh, did I spell it right?
So
Pasta.
sociable.
Fond of company, sociable, living in flocks or loosely organized communities. That's actually for animals.
Growing in open clusters. I like it. That's you. You're an open cluster grower.
I am a growing open cluster. That actually sounds like it's a disease that you need to go get checked out. It's like, oh yeah, Nick's a growing cluster. It's like, ooh, I don't know if that's a
Well,
good thing.
let's not start another disease over
Yeah,
there.
for real. All right. Welcome into episode number 9. In this episode, we're going to actually start getting into part number 3 of Michler's Sovereignty, and Ryan Michler's book Sovereignty, part 3, where he talks about a code of conduct. And do you want to get the break? Actually, I'll get the breakdown of the code of conduct, and then you can do
Go
the
go
summary.
right ahead. Break it
All right.
down.
So, in part 3, where he talks about this code of conduct, he believes that there's a way for men to conduct themselves in any given situation, in any given environment, and that this list of 13 virtues he presents as a code of conduct for men to behave and to live their lives by. Now, he does, in this introduction to part 3, he does go into explaining that yes, while rules, regulations, and guidelines are inherently restrictive, they are a necessity in order to live richer and fuller lives, and that using this code of conduct will okay, you put something in there that I'm not sure, like, you'll better understand the how. Oh, okay. The how. What do you mean by the how? What do you mean by that?
How to get to the end result of being sovereign. You know, how your code of conduct, your self-reliance, as chapter 7 is. That's the how. You know, he explained the what we need to do in the
Oh, okay.
second
So the
part,
mission
you
is
know,
the what. This is more the how, right?
how to get there right.
Okay. Because I know he's gonna give us a mission plan.
So you see, when I read your notes, you know, I just go with it, you know, and I don't pause and be like, I don't know what the heck you wrote there, you know, I just flow through it. Maybe I should be the host and you should be the co-host because you know,
Well,
I just, you know,
but
I kind of wing it, you know, I'm good like that.
so basically, what you're telling the people who are
I'm not
who are
telling people
listening to us,
nothing like that.
what you're telling
No,
the people that
no,
are listening to us is that hey, I write things in a more succinct and understandable way, and that potentially,
nobody said that. I said I just go with the flow. See, you came to a stop, you
because
know.
I'm like, using the code of conduct will better understand. We will better understand how. Like, wait, what? Okay, so using the code of conduct, we will better understand how to perform the mission that we have, the missions that we have in our lives. And so, Andrew, question for you. Do you think rules are a good thing or a bad thing? Or I guess question to the audience, do you think rules are a good thing or a bad thing?
I think rules are great and bad at the same time. I mean, it's not. You know, it's a tough question. You know,
Yeah.
there's times where you know what's right and wrong, and there's times
Mm.
where rules are not right and can be like we said, wrong in their own sense. But there's also times where, you know, I think if there's not a guideline of something to live by, you just have anarchy and chaos. And, you
Okay.
know, yes, there should be rules, but at the same time, we should all just have our own code of conduct that we live by. That, I mean, the rules just support that. The rules just keep everybody in an equal state of mind, or an equal, not state of mind, equal, what's what I'm working for, capacity. You know, I don't know.
Like,
Basically, if I'm following a code of conduct, doesn't mean everybody's going to be act the same way. The rules are there for people that aren't like that.
gotcha. Okay. Yeah, I think I get that. So this will be the beginning of the 13 virtues that he is introducing to men. And so, why don't
Is
you
that a
take us
dog?
away with? I don't know what that is. It's somebody on the other side of the room. Um,
Okay. Start with chapter
so,
7.
yep, chapter 7,
Chapter 7,
self-reliance.
self-reliance. So just so you know, I'm not going to stop. I'm just going to read. Oh, self-reliance. What does that mean? For me, it's basically, I need nobody else. And it kind of goes against, almost like what Michler was saying, was like, you know, we still need a pack. You can't do it alone. But that's more of like community versus self-reliance in this regard. It's like we're not dependent on others to see through what we need to do, if that makes sense.
Mm,
Um, you know, a lot of issues we find nowadays is there's codependence not on people, but on government assistance, on, free handouts, like, hey, here's this, here's that. A lot of people, if they're not good with taking those kind of handouts or whatever, creates within themselves, a little bit of a shame or whatnot. But also, if we're not relying on ourselves, we get that blaming game. It was
hmm
not my fault. I'm stuck in a horrible position. The world's against me. It's kind of like you're relying on focus on somebody else. You're not looking inward at yourself. You're looking at what's happening to you and how it's not your fault.
hmm
And ultimately, blaming others just strips away your power. If you're not in control of what's happening to you, what's the point? You can't do nothing, right? Just suffer, I guess,
hmm
so to speak.
hmm
Normally don't like relying on ourselves for sure because it's scary. We talked about it last chapter where it's hard to make those decisive decisions. You don't know what's going to happen. You don't know worst case scenario. Cutting that cord, not relying on others. You don't know where you'll end up.
Yep.
But at the end of the day, you'll feel better and less shameful that you made it there.
Yeah.
You found a way to make it without relying on other people.
Right. Right. So yeah. So like one of the like the biggest thing there at the beginning is this idea of not depending on not going about it the easy way, because it is easy. It's easy to rely on, it's easy to go back home and or to stay at home with well, in the sense, it's easier to just go home and just rely on your parents and not like go working and not go and doing things to make your own way out in the world, which to me is it's different. It's different than going back home because of the fact that it's like, okay, times are tough, but I'm still working my butt off. Like it's a difference in that you're relying on your parents to well, I should say this idea of self-reliance is like maybe not so much just going and living at home, but also being willing to pay or to help out and make up for being at home in certain ways, so that because it's going to be cheaper, and especially in an economic issue or in an economic downturn, like going back home, there's nothing really wrong with that, but it's when it turns into where you're not really going out and doing anything for yourself. Like you're not actually going and making the money yourself, and you're not actually going and trying to find the the path that you need to be on for yourself, but instead are just saying, "Hey, mom and dad, I'm going to live with you, and you're going to take care of all the food and all the groceries, and you're going to take care of the rent, and you're going to take care of I'm just going to sit at home and just you know basically for lack of a better term, like be breastfed again, you know, and not actually going out and making your way in the world." So I think that it's okay to like in your situation. I think it's okay to be home as long as you're not just staying at home doing nothing and just like watching movies and slacking off. But you're at home, but you're also going to school and you're working and you're relying on yourself to get to a point where you can
Well, let me just
at home again.
let me just say it like this. It does suck and it is shameful. Honestly, parents might see this too, but it sucks having to rely on others. It really does. Like, I speak from experience. It is
Mm-hmm.
not a great feeling in the world to have to just rely on somebody, especially having to go back home when you moved out and had your own place and made your own rules and all this other stuff. Now you're back on the same house that raised you,
Right, right.
and it's crazy. People don't feel that way. Like people are raised like it's normal. It's been normalized in our culture for
Mm,
sure to be relying on others like that. It's okay to live at home with your mom. It's okay to be 36 and I'm not 36, but I'm saying, still live at home with the parents.
right.
But we're not like that. As men, we should be relying upon ourselves, pick ourselves up off our bootstraps. And, where I'm at now, yes, I'm trying to do that. But at the same time, I'm trying to graduate and raise kids. So, um, my plate's full, honestly. This is easy, but it's not easy at the same time. It's
Yeah,
not easy to come back here. It's hard as hell,
yeah,
honestly.
yeah,
But we want things. Anybody wants stuff that's free.
yeah,
It's just how you feel at the end of it. Is it really something you deserve? You know,
yeah. Yeah, I mean, and he does go into like that where like basically you should feel this shame, and if you don't feel this shame, if you don't feel like your soul is dying because you're getting something that you didn't actually earn, then there's something wrong with you.
right?
But that on top of that also like and he it's interesting that he brings in stealing. Like it's interesting because he does mention like the government welfare system where people are exploiting that, and especially men are exploiting that, to get money from the government and not actually have to do anything to earn it. And that, with like having it basically a sense of stealing, like taking away. Now, I've stolen stuff before,
I've
and
never have ever.
I don't believe you. I don't think that's
Oh,
not
we
a
we
late.
both know that's a
Oh yeah,
lie. We
oh
both
yeah.
know that's a lie.
I mean, there were especially like these young kids who would go in and would steal stuff, and I think I don't know. I don't know if it was. I would venture to say I don't know if it's so much like when we stole stuff. Like I don't know if it's so much because we felt like we didn't earn it, or we felt like we were going to get caught, or if it was just kind of like our the way we grew up that kind of made us feel bad about doing that. Because I would venture to say like if you're kind of raised in a certain way that stealing money or stealing stuff or getting stuff for free or getting stuff easily is the way that it is. I mean, that's why we have this idea of entitlement. It's like I deserve to get this, regardless of what I've done. Like it doesn't matter. Like I shouldn't have to work to get something. I should just get it. And because of that, we've got these mindsets, and I think that there are people who grew up with that idea, and so they don't really have that feeling of shame for it. They're just like, no, I deserve this. This is mine. And I think we're kind of seeing that more so. So I would kind of disagree that it's a man thing to feel like you feel it deep inside of you, that you feel this sense of shame. Because I would feel shame, but I trying to understand and empathize with the the generations that are coming and understand that maybe they grew up getting everything they ever wanted for free and not having to work for it, and so they feel like that should continue. Like it's a mental thing for them. They don't see it as a bad thing. They don't see it as stealing. They don't see it as getting something for free.
Yeah, and that ties in, like you're talking about being owed that because they're used to it, but also not to mention, a lot of people feel like they're the victim of circumstance or victim or
Mm-hmm.
were actually
Mm-hmm.
victims, and they use that as an excuse. And hey, I deserve to not be the victim. I deserve to be taken care of. It all ties together.
Yeah.
Um, even people that have actual limitations that are crippled or not crippled, so to speak, but have like a physical ailment or something that does prevent them, you know, there's more people like that aren't relying on others than there are people that aren't sick or aren't hurting that, it's like you pick yourself up. It's the same thing. We all inherently need to be able to take care of ourselves or what's going to happen if nothing's there to take care of you anymore.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And like, yeah, we get that idea of, you know, picking ourselves up, being able to understand that, and like, far be it for me to sit there and say, okay, no one should have any excuses. I mean, I guess, like, I understand, like, if someone has a physical limitation or like a mental handicap, like, I understand that those are things that he brings up, that those are true, real issues that you can blame. You could probably be the one who could blame somebody or something. But like, even if somebody's like had like an abusive like childhood, or was in an abusive relationship, far be it for me to sit there and say, okay, that's your excuse needs to expire. You need to get rid of your excuse. You need to, stop blaming the other person for the lack of results in your, or the lack of love in your life, or stop blaming others for the lack of money in your life, or stop blaming others for this, that, or the other thing. Far be it for me to sit there and say, hey, you you shouldn't you should you shouldn't use that as an excuse, but you do. But I would say this to somebody who's listening who has gone through difficult things: if you've gone through difficult things, like, do the research, find people who have also gone through those same or similar difficult things, an abusive childhood, an abusive relationship, just like, or other like types of things, and you will find success stories of people who have gotten out of that. We do get this victim mentality where it's like, I'm owed this, and it's the man who's bringing me down, or it's this group that's bringing me down, or this person is preventing me from being this, or this past is stopping me from whatever. And so we get into that mentality, and it's never a great thing to be there. You don't want to you don't want to set yourself up to be at the mercy of others. Period. And that includes, in Michler's idea, that includes organizations, companies, businesses.
Right.
You don't want to be beholden to them.
And a lot of times, most people that do end up getting a job, or it's not just companies, it's like anything really. It's what do they offer that's holding me back versus, I mean, starting over again. Most people, I see a lot of people nowadays, they hate their job, but they're on day shift. I want to stay
Mm-hmm.
here because I want to keep day shift. Why not?
Mm-hmm.
I get that. You want to see your kids. Or for me, for instance, where I had my last job, I've been offered other jobs, different positions, and the only reason I didn't take them was the insurance was horrible. My point is, I know my kids are gonna get sick at the beginning of the year. For I'm usually out of money by like April. It's been that way for years now,
Mm-hmm.
and that's a weighing factor. But at the same time, it's that crippling fear. Do we take that leap of faith? Do we make it easy or hard on ourselves? But it's that trade-off thing again. You weigh the consequences versus the results, and you know, either take the leap or you don't, and then live with it after that.
Like, I think
Um,
I
I,
think from go ahead.
Go ahead. No, go
Well,
ahead.
I think from Mickler's perspective, like, being a business owner that he is, like, I think in his mind, he's like, okay, I got to get out of this company and go and do my own business, and like there's going to be this fear and this issue, but like the company's like, hey, you're not going to make 70,000 a year, there's going to be these issues going on. I think for Michler, like it was like, okay, I'm going to get out and I'm going to go do my own business. I think for me, like, there's no way I would be able to do my own business. Like, I feel like I have to work under somebody, but it's more of that idea of like, if this podcast takes off, or if other podcasts take off, or if other opportunities present themselves, not
When
being not being yeah when sorry yeah when other opportunities present themselves, not being so beholden to the company I work for now, to where I'm like, oh, okay, I can't leave because I make so much money, here, like and I won't make as much there. Like for me, that's kind of the mentality that I'm taking from it, is like, even though I make this much here and I'll make less over there, I'll be happier there and more in charge of my life there than I am here. And so, like, with that being the case, like, I know, like, and Gary Vaynerchuk talks about this a lot, is like, a lot of the issues that we have with the company that we work at is maybe we are so beholden to them because we like to go and buy stupid stuff. Like, we go buy this brand new TV, or we live in a house that we don't really need to be in, or we have a car that we don't really need to, we really can't afford, but because we work at this company, we're like, oh, we're going to show it off and stuff. And so we buy a lot of dumb crap. And so therefore end up basically owing our lives to that company.
Yeah, and I agree with that. Back when I decided to go to school full time and I made that switch to second shift, there was other factors there too.
Mm-hmm.
I'd just been, I wouldn't say demoted, but they just cut the job at work that I've been working on day shift and moved me back to machine. And I was like, it wasn't an issue, but the machine they moved me to was just so much more active, so much more intense. Like, I had carpal tunnel flare up, my hands were killing me. Like if I had to work that job and go to school full time, like I'd just been killing myself almost.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's that factor. What's it worth to you? It was $2 more than the second shift job that I bid on, and I was like, no, screw it. I'm taking the pay cut. I'll go to school. And that was what we had to do at the end of the day, is we cut out things we didn't need. Like we got rid of what did we get rid of? The going out to eat, of course, was a lot of it.
Mm-hmm.
Cable was another one.
Mm-hmm.
It's just, what can you live without?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
apparently you can live without a lot of stuff. It's just you have to. I mean, sacrifice. Take trade offs. If you want to live the happy go lucky life, then find the highest paying job that you can work at. If you want to enjoy your work but don't care about money, do that. It's just whatever you're ready for in life, you have to live with.
Yep. Yep. And so then he goes into this idea that especially in this idea of self reliance and relying on ourselves, getting out of whatever cloud, or whatever, like, whatever overhanging umbrella that we're in. One of the biggest things, or another huge thing that prevents us from doing it, is this idea of fear. This fear of uncertainty, the fear of the unknown, the fear of things going horribly wrong. And you know what? They might. But I would venture to guess that the things that we imagine in our minds, and Michler kind of talked about this, we imagine the worst possible everything. And things may go bad, things may go wrong, but they probably won't go as horribly wrong as we can imagine them going. And so, like even to this extent, where maybe in hopefully in the next few months, I'll be able to determine whether I want to continue working at this job, or go off and do the podcast, or go off and do football coaching full time. And that's going to be a scary thing, because it is uncertainty, it is the unknown. But the exciting thing about it is being able to be, not, yes, being self-reliant. I mean, technically right now I'm self-reliant, but going and being excited about the job that I've got, and being thrilled about the coaching, and being ready to do that, versus, being stuck here where maybe I'm not as excited, maybe I'm not as thrilled to do the job. And so that kind of thing.
Right. I understand. Sacrifice, right? 110
Yeah,
percent.
yeah. And
Uh,
so, um, so yeah, like this again, this idea that then we go back to this idea that number one, no one owes us anything. Like we're not owed a job, we're not owed money, we're not owed an easy life. We're not owed anything, but instead we've got to go and make our way. We've got to go and do our thing regardless of what others, not dependent on others, not dependent on circumstances, but instead doing it our way because we owe it to ourselves and we can't really get it from anybody else. Like we can't force. I mean,
yeah. At the end of the day, you have to live with yourselves. You have to choose what you want to do with life, and the fear, like you were talking about, cripples you. But are you meant to do more? Do you feel like you are? I like that John Shea quote. A ship in the harbor is safe, and 100% it is. But that's not what ships are built for. That's how the quote is. Okay, so what are you gonna do? What
mhm.
can you do? What will you do? What do you want to do?
So I want to read this poem talking about this idea, this mindset, making sure that you realize that nobody owes you anything, and so kind of this idea of where you are responsible for yourself. So this poem is called Invictus by William Ernest Henley. Okay, and basically it gets this idea of that when we are already enough, that we are already enough, and that we have within ourselves the ability and the need to be free and sovereign, basically, and self-reliance. So out of the night that covers me, black as a pit from pole to pole, I thank whatever gods may be for my unconquerable soul. In the fell clutch of circumstance, I have not winced nor cried aloud. Under the bludgeonings of chance, my head is bloody, but unbowed. Beyond this place of wrath and tears looms but the horror of the shade, and yet the menace of the years finds and shall find me unafraid. It matters not how strait the gate, how charged with punishments the scroll. I am the master of my fate. I am the captain of my soul. And so basically this idea that you're the captain, you're the master, and that you should be reliant on yourself and not reliant on the people around you or the circumstances that affect you. Not being a victim to those
Circumstance.
things. Yeah.
Absolutely. At some point, everything's going to dry up. It's just you. What's it going to be, right?
Yep. Yep. You are going to
I
be
agree with.
responsible.
I do like that quote at the end there. That those last two lines. I'm the master of my fate.
So
But go ahead.
what Michler then does is he then brings out this idea of skill set. So now with every virtue that he presents with the code of conduct, he's going to present a skill set for us to try. And so the first skill set for self reliance is this idea of cutting the cord. So when you think about it, is there someone who you are overly dependent on for emotional support? Is there anyone giving you money or resources that shouldn't be? Um, do you have other people's tools, equipment, or belongings? What comforts are you enjoying that you didn't earn? And have you taken something that doesn't belong to you? Yeah, I can't really think. Is anyone giving you money or resources that shouldn't be? What do you think? Do you have any of those that you would answer yes? Like,
Well, let's see. Money resources.
or emotional support, or if someone else's tools or equipment or belonging. Because for me, like I don't really think this is anything that I've got. Um, Maybe I've taken some things that don't belong to me. Oh, yeah, that could be. I don't know. Maybe. I mean, I still. I guess. Do books count? Maybe.
Maybe,
I
maybe,
don't know. Like I've got some books that I've taken from the library here, but I'm not sure if like it's not that I'm. I mean, I'm reading them. It's not like I'm planning on keeping them.
you plan on keeping them, don't you?
No, no, not these books. Nope. I can't think of any.
Yeah, it's hard. It's hard
Yeah.
things. I mean, someone might be able to point them out to us after they watch the video.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
Yeah, but
I would definitely say
reach
like
reach out to our
for
YouTube following, but like, can you think of any for us? And they'll be like, yeah, this one. You suck at this. You suck at that. Oh, great, thank you.
yeah. I mean, I would definitely say like there was a time where I was using mom and dad's resources for just and just kind of not being reliant on myself. Like I would definitely say that was the case. I don't think I've got anyone that am overly dependent on for emotional support. I mean, I guess you could say like my wife, but I think I'm just the right amount of support, emotional support from her. Where it's you know where she's being encouraging, but she's also being hard on me like because of my weight and stuff like that. And so those are good things I think. So I'm not depending too much on her for like fake emotional support or um, anything along those like fake encouragement and stuff. All right. So since we can't think of anything there, the second skill set that he presents is find a way or make one. And I think this one's a little bit more
Open
applicable.
and close.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So he uses this quote. So his quote actually, I think it means find a way or make one. I think it literally is find a way or make one. Um, but then he says that it says I will find a way or make one. So I'll read his quote and then I'll read the I will make a way. So the original quote is in veniam viam aut faciam. And so basically it's find a way or make one. If you want to say I will find a way or make one, it's and this is, oh, sorry, I should say this. This is Latin based. This is a Latin quote. The I will find a way or make one is aut veniam in, oh, I'm sorry, aut vien in veniam aut faciam. And so it's this idea of it's actually a Latin like proverb, basically where no matter the challenges, no matter the hardships, no matter the obstacles, you have two options. One, you can either tuck your tail, run away, and retreat as quickly as you can, and just go back to your regular life, just go back to your plain life, or you can choose to not quit, regardless of the obstacles, regardless of the challenges, regardless of the hardships, and you continue moving the only way you can, which is forward. And so
Forward.
you
Yeah.
either find that way or you make one for yourself.
Absolutely.
And so this is just a way of and it makes sense because of the fact that like if you've been dependent on people, if you've been dependent on the system, if you've been dependent on um, some external force to provide for you, then yeah, it's going to be really difficult to prevent that from happening, to stop yourself from continuing to do that and continuing to rely on those things. But this idea of finding, like, you do have to cut the cord first off. You have to end whatever that relationship is. And you may be sitting there like, I don't know how to, but that's where the second skill set comes from, in that you may not know how to, but you're going to find a way or you're going to make a way. And you've just got to continue, like, no matter how difficult it is, no matter what the obstacle is, you've got to make a way to do it, to
Carry
become
on my wayward son.
very much so, very much
Hmm.
so. And so that's the gist of it is becoming self-reliant is the first code of conduct, relying on yourself, not saying that you can't get help from other people, but not being reliant on those other people to provide the things that you should be out there providing for yourself.
Right.
Anything
Absolutely.
else you want to add?
That's all I got for you, sir.
That's beautiful. So, as always, thank you so much for being here. We really appreciate it. If you are listening or you're on YouTube, subscribe wherever you can subscribe. If you're on YouTube, obviously there's a subscribe button. So hit that subscribe button, hit the like button if you like what we're talking about. Um, if you're on YouTube, click over here
I mean,
to
even if you
get.
don't like what we're talking about.
Well, that's true too. Yeah, if you don't like what we're talking about, you can also hit the like button. If you're on YouTube, click over here to get the rest of our sovereignty videos. Click over here to get our most recent one that was on chapter 6, and then click down here to subscribe. I'm Nick.
I'm Andrew.
Thanks for being here.